Welcome back to The Explainer, everyone. Today, we are going to completely shatter your preconceptions about the world's most mysterious continent. We're diving deep into the fascinating blog post, Beyond the Ice, 6 Surprising Truths About the World's Most Mysterious Continent. For a lot of us, Antarctica is just, well, it's this static white blur at the very bottom of the map, right? Just a giant block of ice we barely think about. But the second you look at it through the lens of geographers and environmental scientists, that whole perception just dissolves. It's actually a site of profound global anxiety, a sanctuary of absolute scientific wonder, and quite literally a crucial testing ground for humanity. So let's jump right in and look beyond the ice to uncover what's really going on down there at the bottom of the world. Okay, let me hit you with a pretty wild question to start things off. What if I told you the world's largest desert actually holds 70% of the Earth's freshwater and 90% of its ice? It's a staggering irony, isn't it? Antarctica is technically classified as a desert because of its famously arid conditions. Precipitation along the coast is only about 200 millimeters a year, and it's even less than that in the frozen interior. So we've got a place totally defined by these massive water reserves, yet it is literally one of the driest places on the planet.
To really wrap our heads around this place, we've broken this explainer down into 6 specific paradoxes. We are going to cover 1. A frozen tropical desert. 2. The shape-shifting landmass. 3. Hidden subglacial worlds. 4. A continent without countries. 5. The surprising ozone paradox. And 6. Mourning the melting ice.
All right, starting right off with Section 1 of Frozen Tropical Desert.
I want you to try and picture an ancient, lush, completely ice-free environment right where the South Pole is today. Pretty hard to imagine compared to the endless ice we just talked about, right? But the proof is literally buried in the rock. Up in the Trans-Antarctic Mountains, researchers have actually discovered coal deposits, which, if you remember, are the remains of temperate vegetation, and limestone layers holding fossilized tropical sponges. Because during the Cambrian era, about 590 to 505 million years ago, the landmass we now call Antarctica was part of the supercontinent Gondwanaland. It straddled the equator, it was surrounded by tropical seas. They've even found fossilized tropical ferns and pollen in the sedimentary rocks of the peninsula region. Absolutely wild.
So the takeaway here is that this continent has gone through an unbelievably dramatic shift. From this biologically diverse tropical paradise, it shifted into this brutal, unforgiving reality where extreme cold absolutely rules. And when I say extreme, I mean the lowest recorded temperature reached a staggering, bone-chilling -89 degrees Celsius at the Vostok Research Station on the high polar plateau.
Moving on to Section 2, the shape-shifting landmass.
So the idea that Antarctica has this static, permanent shape on a map? Total illusion. It is quite literally a physical shapeshifter. Every single September, during their late winter, the size of the continent effectively doubles. The freezing Southern Ocean adds over 1,000 kilometers of sea ice, extending out from the coastline. It's constantly erasing and redrawing its own borders, which, as you can imagine, made historical maps hopelessly inaccurate. For centuries, you had explorers finding coastlines in the quote-unquote wrong place, or watching entire islands just vanish because the ice shelves retreated or drifted away. And think about what this biological flux means for the wildlife down there. A massive colony of king penguins chilling on a rocky shore, or a lone seal catching a break on some drifting ice. They have to constantly adapt to this shifting underwater landscape, the bathymetry. The coastline is literally remaking itself with the rhythm of the seasons. It's a constantly moving target for every animal that calls it home.
Which brings us to Section 3, hidden subglacial worlds.
We're going to pivot now from that shifting exterior to the incredible secrets buried deep beneath miles of solid, crushing ice. Topographic bed maps have revealed the hidden Trans-Antarctic Mountains winding right through the center of the continent, basically dividing it into east and west. And tucked away within those hidden valleys, using seismic soundings and radar, scientists have found over 150 subglacial lakes. The most famous one? Lake Vostok. Guys, this is a body of water the size of Lake Ontario, totally isolated from the surface for millions of years.
Now, you might be wondering, how on earth do these lakes stay liquid under all that freezing ice? Let's break it down. Step 1, geothermal heat from the Earth's interior warms the base. Step 2, the immense crushing pressure of that overlying ice sheet actually prevents the water from freezing, even when it drops below zero. Step 3, these totally isolated liquid lakes form over millions and millions of years. And Step 4, this subglacial water actually moves around, creating these ghostly refrozen structures that reshape the ice from below.
Exploring these dark, high-pressure environments requires incredibly delicate hot water drilling to avoid any cross-contamination. It's honestly the perfect laboratory for understanding extraterrestrial environments. It's basically a direct parallel to places like Jupiter's icy moon Europa.
All right, Section 4. A continent without countries.
So, how exactly do humans govern a landmass that technically belongs to nobody? It's a space where science is supposed to be the universal language, but there is a very clear sovereignty dilemma here. Before the 1959 Antarctic Treaty, you had this gang of 7 claimant states with conflicting territorial claims. Now, Article 4 of the 1959 treaty didn't actually resolve those disputes. Instead, it just completely froze them in place. It banned military activity and opened the whole area for peace and science. So we have this unique bifocal approach. Claimant states keep up their legal pretensions for the folks back home, while non-claimants just ignore them and focus on open access. But the reality on the ground is a bit more complex. Modern scientific bases often quietly act as what you could call information processing colonies. Maintaining these permanent research stations is a way to hold on to a geopolitical foothold. So yes, it's a rare space of international cooperation, but those political boundaries, even if they are ignored on the surface, are never truly forgotten.
Next up, Section 5. The surprising ozone paradox.
This is honestly one of the most counterintuitive scientific discoveries about the continent's climate. Professor John Turner from the British Antarctic Survey said it perfectly. He said, "For me, the most astonishing evidence is the way one man-made environmental impact, the ozone hole, has shielded most of Antarctica from another, global warming." Think about that. It highlights this massive, unbelievable irony regarding our atmospheric impact down there.
So, how does that actually work? Let's step through the mechanics of it. First, the incredibly well-publicized loss of the ozone layer happens right over the South Pole. Second, that loss intensely strengthens the polar vortex, which is this powerful circuit of winds constantly whipping around the continent. And third, that supercharged wind circuit acts like a temporary shield, trapping all that freezing cold air right over the polar interior. So, while areas outside this vortex, like the Antarctic Peninsula, have suffered these catastrophic ice shelf collapses, like the Larsen B splintering, the deep interior has actually been shielded from rapid global warming, at least for now. Literally, one man-made disaster acted as a weird sort of band-aid for another.
And finally, Section 6. Mourning the melting ice.
We have really entered a completely new era in our relationship with this ice. Back during the heroic age of exploration a century ago, early explorers were terrified of the ice. It was lethal, it was an insurmountable, crushing force. But today, the narrative is totally flipped. We actually find ourselves actively mourning these eroded, drifting icebergs, as human-induced climate change causes the continent to crack, melt, and evaporate right in front of us. We are watching the very geography of the Earth alter in real time.
And this fragile state perfectly symbolizes the looming threat we're all facing today. Scientists are urgently warning us that we are approaching a highly dangerous tipping point with the West Antarctic Ice Sheet, or WISE. If this massive marine-based ice sheet continues to lose mass and ultimately collapses, the distant, remote reality of Antarctica's melting ice is going to arrive directly at our own shores.
So I really want to leave you with this final provocative thought. If the West Antarctic ice sheet collapses, global sea levels could rise by 3 to 4 meters. What does a 3 to 4 meter sea level rise mean for your own coastal city base camp? Antarctica might seem like this mysterious world millions of miles away, but its fate is intimately, undeniably connected to our own survival, and for sure our future. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, guys. Keep questioning what you think you know about our amazing planet, and I'll see you in the next one.